in this century.
This will probably come as a surprise to you, but the three worst polluted cities on planet Earth in regards to ground level ozone are in Canada. You wouldn't expect to hear that, would you? You would think maybe it was Wuhan, maybe it's India, maybe it's Pakistan, maybe it's New York City. I'm afraid not. The three worst cities to breathe in on this planet are in Canada: Montreal, Vancouver, and Calgary. The three worst polluted cities on the planet in regards to ground level ozone. And seeing as ground level ozone kills 8.2 million people every year, maybe you should check it out. This is very serious stuff. Climate change, oceans boiling, chemtrails, all that fucking garbage is to hide the reality of ground level ozone exposure. Somebody very, very smart indeed, or very, I guess, intelligent, but not compassionate, has figured out a way to enhance ozone in the sky over your heads, just like in this picture. Why is the sky blue? It's ozone is blue. It's as simple as that. So you have to consider ozone, ladies and gentlemen. The three worst polluted cities on the planet's surface in regards to ground level ozone exposure, which kills people. The three worst cities on the planet are Montreal, Calgary, Vancouver. That came as a surprise to me, but unfortunately it's true. And if you don't get a grip on ozone and what it's doing to your lungs and your children's lungs and your neighbor's lungs and your grandparents' lungs and your wife's lungs and your girlfriend's lungs and your boyfriend's lungs, then you're a fool. Ozone is the weapon of the 21st century. Ozone will be used to take your life. Why? Because the effort to convince you that ozone was good for you is 200 years old. It's a psyop that started, at least in 1903, if I'm not mistaken, when J.P. Morgan got his hands on the world's first ozone generator that was built by Tesla. What was it, 7 years later, ozone was used on the battlefield in World War I. There's a few dates I'm missing here. Let me see now. In 1983, there was a hole discovered in the ozone layer. In 1985, you were told it was your fault and there's no ozone left. Remember, there's a hole in the ozone layer. You did it. That's what you're being told, right? Well, it's complete hogwash. Ozone is silent corona. Wuhan was asphyxiated. Macedonia is being asphyxiated. Spain was asphyxiated. Italy was asphyxiated. And now we find out within the last week that the three worst cities on the planet today for breathing air is Montreal, Calgary, and Vancouver. The three worst cities on the planet's surface. Worse than India, worse than Bangladesh, worse than New York City. Isn't that strange? You still proud to be Canadian? I am. Better start looking at ozone, ladies and gentlemen, or you will perish from ozone exposure. The Russians are calling ozone the preferred chemical warfare agent. You know what that means, right? Well, it's the preferred chemical warfare agent. You've been convinced that ozone protects you from the harmful rays of the sun, and you've also been convinced that there's none left. So it's an emergency, isn't it? I'm mocking you now, ladies and gentlemen, but if you don't get a grip on ozone, ozone is the preferred chemical warfare agent. The Russians know this. The Russians have been talking about this. Not a single motherfucker in Canada has even mentioned it, except for a couple of my friends that show up here once in a while. At least they're smart enough to understand that somebody might be telling them the truth every once in a while. Just because you see it up here doesn't mean it's all bullshit. I don't get any money for this. Why should I? It was a discovery made by myself and a few other people, and you better get a grip on ozone before it gets a grip on you. You'll know you're suffering from ozone exposure because you'll be sick immediately. You won't be able to breathe. And you only need three things to survive on this planet. That's food, water, shelter perhaps, and air to breathe. And if the air outside your house is being artificially enhanced and redistributed in certain cities like Montreal, Calgary, and Vancouver, then you're going to get sick, aren't you? Yeah. Ozone kills over 8 million people every year. That 20 people die from ozone exposure every year to one on the battlefield. Only one dies on the battlefield every year. So all that death you've been hearing about is minute compared to the death toll from ozone and ozone exposure. If you don't study ozone today, you will perish. You will regret it, and you'll be saying on your deathbed, that asshole was right. Even though he's an asshole, he's still right. Don't you know of an asshole that has the right answer, even though he's an asshole? Well, you're looking at one, you're listening to one. I've been studying ozone since I was 10 years old, when it first made me sick. I lived near the nuclear plant, and ozone and the production of electricity go hand in hand. That's just that. That's just the way it is. You don't like it, tough shit. If you don't study ozone, you'll be a fucking fool. You know why? Because I'll be driving your car. I'll be watering your lawn. I'll be riding your bike. You don't want that, do you? Well, then you better study ozone. Ozone is silent corona. Silent corona is a complete lie. Silent corona and COVID. Silent corona is a method for producing the same gas I'm talking about here, silent corona. If you search silent corona and ozone in the same sentence, if you don't search it, you're a fool. Search silent corona and ozone in the same sentence and see where it goes. It leads directly to an ozone generator sales site. Ozone was rebranded on March 11, 2020 and called Silent Corona. Then a few hours later on the news, on the same day, they announced the second disease, which was COVID-19. So, Silent Corona is the method for producing the poison gas I'm telling you about here that's making you sick. And COVID-19, well, 19 is what ozone equals in gematria. Ozone or trioxygen. If you search trioxygen in gematria, which is ozone, you'll find it equals 991. 9 plus 9 plus 1 is 19 and will not change. Ozone is the most dangerous thing on the planet's surface today. By far the most dangerous. By far. Ozone kills instantaneously. You don't get a second chance with ozone. And ozone doesn't pick and choose. Whoever's using it just lobs it in, and the people not paying their climate tab or getting out of hand get sick. It's as simple as that. You don't have to believe it. But you're gonna find out tomorrow that it's actually true. Anyway, you guys take care. And don't forget that even after you shower in ozonated water every morning, you drink it from the tap. It has been ozonated. Call the treatment facility. Find out yourself. Okay? All your food has been ozonated. Ozone destroys the vitamin C content in fruit and plenty of other vitamins and plenty of other foods. All that water flushed down the toilet in the sewer. Now you've got concentrated ozone coming out of the sewer vents. And you've got 5G towers all over the motherfucking place. And 5G towers convert the air around the tower into ozone, and the ozone falls down to the ground because it's heavier than oxygen and sits just above the ground surface. 3 feet off the ground is where ground level ozone starts and goes up. Yeah, I might sound like an asshole, ladies and gentlemen. I apologize for that. But I've been doing this for 10 years. I've been warning people since 9/11/2015 that ozone was being used as a weapon. I'm right today. I was right then. And if you don't study ozone, you will get sick. So you better study ozone. Purchase an ozone meter, ozone detector, just like a smoke detector. Much more important to have an ozone detector. And go outside once a night or twice a day or maybe 10 times a day and check the ozone content in the air. You'll find that it exceeds the allowable limits even today. The allowable limits for ozone in North America have been raised from 70 to 80 to 90 parts per million in the last 3 months. You will get sick from ozone. You will. This is not, I'm not guessing. It's still a weapon. It's still in the hands of the dark side, and they're not willing to let it go at this point, I don't think. But Trump knows about it. That's a fact. I know he knows. Look what he's doing in the news today. Look what he's doing in the news recently. Trump's the fucking savior, man. We got lucky. He found out because I sent him all this information before his election in 2016. Yeah, he got the information. Yeah, he sure did. I got confirmation of that. That's why Mr. Trump's blowing every asshole out of the water right now, because he has the goods. He knows ozone is being used. The World Economic Forum talks about it. The UN talks about it. The Montreal Protocol has been talking about it. The World Meteorological Organization has been talking about it. EPA is talking about it. Everybody's talking about ozone, ladies and gentlemen, except you. Look at Denver. Look at Minneapolis. They have ozone warnings. They're trying to get people to stay indoors so they don't get sick. Look it up yourself. Look up Denver. Look up Minneapolis, Minnesota. You tell me if I'm right or wrong. Unfortunately, I am correct with these little tidbits of information. Ozone is void of oxygen. Don't let anybody try to convince you any other. And the ozone in the sky does not, repeat, does not protect you from the harmful rays of the sun. Nobody can prove that. And I can prove to you within 35 seconds that ozone will kill you. All you have to do, if you really want to know, come on over to my place. I'll put an ozone generator on the table. I'll plug it in, turn it on, and I'll force you to sit in front of it and breathe. And you tell me if you can breathe. I've already done that. You won't last a millisecond. When you get a whiff of that shit, you'll choke and run away. You will, and I'm afraid if you don't pay any attention to the subject of ozone, it's curtains for you. And like I said earlier, you don't want me driving your car and watering your lawn, do you? Okay. Glad I made that clear.